My name is Jeffrey Myers, and I am the board president and co-founder of the Oakland LGBTQ Center. Now, let me get back to my story. I'm going to take you on a little short journey to where I started and where I ended up today and who I am today. I was born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina, to two lovely parents who I had siblings of 9 people in my family. My father left when we were younger, and so my mother ended up having to raise 7 kids. Why I said 7? Because 2 of my siblings died. And I was told, I was too young to remember my older brother, but I was told that he was very handsome and I looked like him. So, hey, that's a good thing. But he was handicapped also. We grew up poor in the South, and my mother was on welfare and public assistance, and trying to raise 7 kids by herself was really hard. But for those who haven't raised up in the era I did, you ever heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a kid? It actually did, because the people in my community were aunts and uncles, but they weren't blood relatives, but they all looked out for each other, making sure that the kids stayed out of trouble. And so everyone knew my family. So if I got in trouble or my brothers get in trouble, my mother would hear about it instantly. And she was a hard disciplinary person. Growing up poor was very hard and challenging because I was given hand-me-down clothes from my brothers. So many times I would go to school with holes in my shoes. That means my brother would cut a cardboard to put in the soles so our feet wouldn't touch the ground. I would wear tattered clothes because we couldn't afford it. But one thing that we did have is that we always had a meal on the table. We had clothes on our back and we had a roof over our head. My mother worked very hard, but also she needed assistance, so the community stepped in and helped us. I became very introvert and very quiet over the years, dealing with anxiety, stress, depression, because I was teased a lot in school because the clothes I wore and being poor. It's not the kids' fault. You can tell right now, even today, kids are being, bullied and challenged by either their disability or who they are. And I didn't know any different. I just felt like this is who I am and I can't change that. I can change the family I grew up in. I can change the economic status that I'm at. So I made it through. As I got older in junior high school, well, middle school, that is, I became very introvert. I became very quiet. So I would sit in the back of the class, kept my head down. I just wanted to disappear. Really, I didn't even want to be seen. But one thing I must say that I was a good student. I listened very well. I paid attention. I got my homework done because my mom was demanding on that. When we get home at night, you better get your homework done before you go out there and play with your friends. So the teachers would try to call on me, and I was like, oh my God, I really hate talking in front of people. I would cringe or turn red every time I have to be called on to speak. But I knew later on that I had a speech impediment, so it was hard. That was embarrassing for me too, to get up in front of kids to say anything. So I would just always want to keep quiet. But I muddled through that. And then I progressed into my high school. But before I started high school, I remember I was 14 years old, and there was a store, a neighborhood store called Fletcher. And I would go in and get my mother cigarettes. She loved smoking her little cigarettes and her little coffee brandy, and said this is how she relaxed. After dealing with all these kids, she needed to take some time for herself. So I remember going there one day, and Mr. Fletcher said, Jeff, how old are you? I said, I'm about to turn 14. He said, you want a summer job? I said, sure. So he gave me a summer job, and that's when I started buying my own little clothes, and then I started to feel good about myself because I no longer have to wear my hand-me-down clothes from my brothers. And so just before I approached high school, we've had, like I said, it takes a neighborhood to raise a kid. And we had this one grandmother we call grandmother. She was a grandmother to all the kids in the neighborhood. And she called me, Sister Jeff, I need to have a conversation with you. She said, I've known you since you're a baby, and I've seen how you grow over the years, but you were always very shy, withdrawn from everybody. And I want to give you some advice before you go to high school. She said, I see a future in you. I see that you're going to do great things one day, but I want you to step outside the shell and just, get to meet some friends, join some sports, join some activities so you can start to, blossom as a wonderful person I know you are. So I thought about what she said, took her advice. The first year I did not join any sports, anything. I just wanted to really get acclimated to school, try to get my studies done, and just try to absorb what I'm hearing in this different environment in high school. High school is a eye-awakening for a lot of people who haven't been to high school. It can be very intimidating. So the first year, I just kept my head down. The second year, I joined the social studies club. I joined track and field. So I started to open up, meet new friends. And that's the second year was the time the ROTC came to the school. So I decided, I'm gonna join ROTC because my older brother was in the military at the time. He was in Germany. And I wanted to learn a little more about the military lifestyle. So joining ROTC, I did really well. And then the officer, our instructor, Captain Salters, I remember his name. He said, Jeff, I see some potential in you. I want you to be on a leadership team as an officer. I said, okay, I'll do that. And so my job as an officer in ROTC was to run the color guards. So if you ever been to any games, you see the people presenting the colors with the flags. I had the American flag, and I was so proud of myself as a patriot. So, but I got into all the games for free. And then that's when I had a lot of friends who want to be friends of mine because they said, Jeff, give me a ticket into the game. No, you're not my friend. So you know how it is in high school. People want to gravitate towards you when they think they can get something out of you. So during that time, I started taking on a leadership role, and I started to feel really good about myself. And if you listen to what I'm saying, when I started as a young kid to being shy and poor growing up and being withdrawn to how progressing as an adult and really learning my skills and being comfortable with myself. So that's one of my part of my other journey. The next journey is when I finished high school, I moved on, took a couple of tech courses, and then I decided to join the military for real because by then I had 3 siblings in the military. And they said, Jeff, you should join the military so you get to see the world and just to get out of your environment. And it was the best move ever. Got to live in Japan for a couple of years. I just traveled all over the world, just got to see how people think outside the box compared to the little small community I grew up in. So when I got, when in the military, that's when I first came out also at 25. So even though I dated a lot of girls, I was always confused. And I think that was part of my anxiety too. And my depression is worrying about what people think about me. When I was younger, I was going to church a lot and hearing the pastor saying gay people going to hell and you're a sinner. On top of that, seeing homophobia in some ways that people treat gays and lesbians. So I was refusing to come out at that time. So I thought dating girls and suppressing that would be better for me at that time. And even though I had a lot of girlfriends and it was intimate, I was always thinking about a guy. And so I never told anybody. And then I finally decided I'm going to come out to myself first so I can love myself first. Then I can tell other people. So I came out to myself first and I told close friends. And the biggest, scariest part for me is to tell my mother because my mother and I were so close. And I finally said, okay, I got to tell Mom. So I sat down and talked to her and I said, Mom, I'm gay. She said, I already know you were gay. I said, oh my God, you know I was gay? She said, yes. She said, any good mother knows when a kid was going through some transition in their life and know something about them. She said, I just had a feeling you were, but I want you to tell me on your own terms because I want you to feel good about it before you tell anybody else. And I said, thank you, Mom. And during the next year, not the next year, but during years later, she came and marched with me in the pride parades and just really, I really appreciated her just loving me for who I was. And I would hope that more kids' parents would do that, accept them for who they are. So that's the other journey. After the military, I decide to go back to school at night, take some nursing. Then I end up working at a nursing home in a care facility and I also work at a psych ward. And that was a good experience for me. Psychiatric patients are a challenge. So I realized that that wasn't going to be a long-term job for me. So I decided I wanted to get into medicine for surgery. And so now, today, I'm working at the University of California, working in the neurosurgery department. I can do several different specialties. I work in ENT, urology, do plastics, do a lot of general surgery, and I absolutely love my job. And the reason I love my job because I'm passionate about it. And that's the thing I want to tell the teens today. If you listen to my journey, along the way, someone saw something in me I didn't see in myself. I didn't have the self-esteem. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I was confused, but someone saw something in me and they challenged me and I challenged myself. And after that, working at the university for years, I decided to join the union, which I was a union vice president for about 6 years, which I love. And that's another term of helping somebody else, helping them for their equal rights, making sure they get their better pay. And so I've always had it inside me to be a person of service. For some reason, I don't know why. I guess because I didn't have a lot when I was growing up. And I felt like if I can help someone get something that I didn't have, it'll make me feel good about myself. So after accomplishing all this here, I decide now that I'm a gay man, a gay Black man, I need to be more active in my community as LGBT. So I decided to join HRC in San Francisco, which is Human Rights Campaign Steering Committee. And I actually was organizing, my job was to help organize a contingent for the parade, which I love parades, seeing the pageantry, and I dressed up a lot. I was loving it. But I also, when Oakland Pride started, I decided to jump onto that bandwagon, and then I became the organizer, the organizer for the volunteers. But I just felt something still was missing. Even though those events were good, but they were only a weekend event or a day event. After that, what else for LGBT people to do in Oakland? I mean, I would go to San Francisco, go to San Jose, go to Sacramento for events and clubs, but Oakland didn't have their own LGBTQ center. So I did some research, and I was talking to people in San Francisco and here and asking them how could we start something here. And a lot of people, talk, a lot of talk. People like to talk a lot, but they didn't want to take any action. I'm an action-oriented person. So I just took what they said, and I had a friend for years who I know, his name is Joe Hawkins, who is my co-founder today. He actually had experience in nonprofits for years, and he also had a gay nightclub for 25 years. And so I saw him walking down the street. We live on the same street, sitting on my patio, just chilling and stuff. And he was walking by. I just called him. I said, Joe, come here for a second. Let's talk. And he said, what? I said, I want to start a center. I want to start a center here in Oakland. He said, okay. I said, will you be able to help me? He said, yeah, but you better effing help me if we do this. We can do this together, and we can do it today. And that was June 2017. Not only we talked about it, we went and incorporated the same day because he was serious and I was serious. I was nervous, of course. I'm saying, God, I didn't know it was going to go that fast. But my passion and my heart was in it, and we did it. And now look, 4 years later, look where we're at today. The center is thriving. We started out in one office when we first opened because we were under a community shared space in Oakland. We took over that space because she was being evicted. And we always been evicted too, but the owner trusted me and Joe, looked at the website and saw that we had something tangible, that we were really helping the community, and he gave us the lease. And now, not only that we have the center thriving, we actually have extended to a wellness clinic, which is called the Glenn Burke Wellness Clinic. And for those who don't know who Glenn Burke is, he was a Major League Baseball player for the Oakland A's, who actually got blackballed, and then he moved to San Francisco, ended up contracting AIDS and died of complications. The reason why we named the center after him, because not only like him, me and Joe are two African and gay Black men. And this is the first center ever in California that was incorporated and run by two African and gay Black men. And Glenn Burke being an African gay Black man, and also the first out Black gay Major League Baseball player in history. And also he started High Five. So if you want to do any research on him, go look on the website. You can find a lot more information about him. But that being said, is that I'm just so proud of what I've accomplished. And as a kid, I never thought I would be where I am today. Never, because I didn't have that knowledge and I didn't have that self-esteem and that awareness. But along the way, somebody always saw something in me I can see in myself. So my advice to you out there is that if you're confused about whether your sexuality, never be ashamed of who you are. There's somebody just like you out there. Try to strive through it, get to help, ask for help. If someone extended olive branch, you take it. If you see another kid suffering or feel like they're having a hard time, help them. It's all about love, and it's all about helping that next person. That you never know where their life's going to change or how you can change your life and change your life in the same time.